All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the stream. Today, we're going to be looking at some random stuff, just a bunch of random stuff, probably meaningless stuff, but I mean, I guess these days you can be random and meaningless and still get tons of views on YouTube. Not saying that I'm going to get tons of views on YouTube. Obviously, my channel is shadow banned as whatever, but we can still look at some random stuff, see what's going on. Maybe it's connected, maybe it's not. I don't know. I'm not going to claim that it is because, people will get pissed off and, try to kill you or troll you for years and years and years if you say anything, but they control you and do all this stuff to you. Okay. So, first we're going to look at this Project 2525 thing because we were during when President Trump was running for office this last time, we were assured, because the Democrats kept on pulling this out, the huge book that we can't see here on the website, that we weren't doing this. We weren't doing the religious revival thing, and in fact, we were doing Trump's Agenda 47. But this, of course, you can't really actually see what's in here. You gotta go to Wikipedia for that. On the website, they're like, oh, just check the website. There's nothing on the website. Except they're gonna remove the permanent political class from the next conservative administration. They're gonna be working with 350 leading conservatives. And they're gonna make the White House more friendly to the right. Okay. All right. So, but we're not doing that though. We're not doing the religious thing. We're not doing that. Right? We're doing Trump's Agenda 47, which interestingly enough, right, I wanted to go directly to Trump's website, so I typed in Agenda 47 website, and here you can see this is the Donald J. Trump website right here. Join the movement, Agenda 47, Donald J. Trump. It says right beneath it, it says certified website of Donald J. Trump for president. So I'm like, oh yeah, I want to hear or read what Agenda 47 is. Oh, it's just merch. It's just hats. Yeah, buy some hats, buy some shirts, buy a scarf, buy a beanie, get a fake executive order, get some golf balls, more shirts, bumper stickers, cups, mugs, a beer cozy, more beer cozies, button. I'm not seeing Agenda 47. Oh, a fleece. Wow. I'm not seeing, oh, MAGA membership card. I definitely need to get one of those. Oh, this is actually considered a political contribution if you buy a shirt from here. Interesting. Okay, so obviously Agenda 47 is not on Trump's website, as you can see. Got hats, accessories, apparel, fight, 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 back to school, hot deals. I'm not seeing Agenda 47 anywhere, so we got to go to Wikipedia for that. Okay, so now we're going to check out what Agenda 47 presented for foreign affairs. First thing it looks like we got here is negotiating an end to the Russian invasion of Ukraine within 24 hours. That definitely happened. Okay. Reshuffling government employees in charge of foreign policy, namely clean house of all the warmongers and America last globalists in the deep state, the Pentagon, the State Department, and national security industrial complex. Did we do that? Are we doing that? We got rid of all the warmongers? Did we now? All the warmongers are gone. Yes, no wars. We're not doing any wars right now. Okay. The defense bureaucracy, intelligence services, and all the rest need to be completely overhauled and reconstituted to fire the deep staters and put America first, and re-evaluating NATO's purpose and mission. Okay. Increasing military funding, asking Europe to reimburse us for the cost of rebuilding the stockpiles sent to Ukraine, and increasing military recruitment by restoring the proud culture of honor traditions of America's armed forces. So, yeah, I mean, number 2 and number 4 are kind of contradictory, because obviously if we're clearing house of all the warmongers, why would we need to increase military recruitment? Okay. Okay, so sending troops to Mexico to attack cartel leadership and infrastructure with the possibility of bombing it. Seeking to deport all resident aliens who are Hamas sympathizers, and putting out the Paris Agreement. Okay. I think we did do that. I think we've been sending troops to Mexico to attack the cartel leaders. I think we saw that recently in Puerto Vallarta. Okay. Okay. So this one, I think we missed this one. The clearinghouse of all the warmongers and America last globalist in the deep state, Pentagon, State Department, and the national security industrial complex. I think that's the one that a lot of people were kind of hoping would go through. That didn't happen. All right. So a lot of people are claiming that the Department of War Chief General Pete Hegseth wants to bring about a biblical end times war with Iran, because he believes that Jesus is going to come back if we rebuild the third temple. Now, to his credit, that there is no evidence of that specifically. And apparently there's a rumor going around that troops were told that the war is for Armageddon. That's not true, or at least it's not substantiated by any real evidence. It's a anonymous tipster type of thing. But what is true is that Pete Hegseth wrote a book called American Crusade, in which, he praises the Crusades, which he says began when in the 11th century Christianity in the Mediterranean region, including the holy sites in Jerusalem, was so besieged by Islam that Christians had a stark choice to wage a defensive war or continue to allow Islam's expansion in the face of existential war at home in Europe. All right. He predicted that Biden, I'm down here now. He predicted that Biden would follow an anti-Israel and pro-Islamist foreign policy and claimed that Biden would implement speech codes instead of free speech, bye-bye Second Amendment, and naked socialism, government run everything. Oh, really? Common Core education, a tiny military, and abortion on demand, even post-birth. He accuses social media companies of censoring conservative voices rather than intolerant jihadists or filthy leftists. He criticized the Council on American Islamic Relations, saying groups such as the Muslim Brotherhood and CARE have advanced the radical mission of Islamists for decades. He also criticizes Senator Bernie Sanders as a favorite among Muslim Americans due to support for Palestine causes and distaste for Israel. So we can see that he's definitely pro-Israel. And he's definitely pushing this Muslim replacement thing, which, I mean, there's not really that many Muslims. Okay. Here's the cover of his book. Okay. Okay. Now we're gonna look at the what's the Goetia, right? The Goetia is a type of European sorcery, often referred to as witchcraft, that has been transmitted through grimoires, books containing instructions for performing magical practices. The term Goetia finds its origins in the Greek word goes, which originally denoted diviners, magicians, healers, and seers. Initially, it held connotations of low magic, implying fraudulent or deceptive magia as opposed to theurgy, which was regarded as divine magic. Grimoires, also known as books of spells or spell books, served as instruction manuals for various magical endeavors. They cover crafting magical objects, casting spells, performing divination, and summoning supernatural entities such as angels, spirits, deities, and demons. Although the term grimoire originates from Europe, similar magical texts have been found in diverse cultures across the world. Throughout history, various cultures have contributed to magical practices. Early Christians saw the use of grimoires by certain Gnostic sects, with texts like the Book of Enoch containing astrological and angelic information. King Solomon of Israel was linked with magic and sorcery, attributed to a book with incantations for summoning demons. The pseudepigraphic Testament of Solomon, one of the oldest magical texts, narrates Solomon's use of a magical ring to command demons. With the ascent of Christianity, books on magic were frowned upon, and the spread of magical practices was often associated with paganism. This sentiment led to book burnings and the associations of magical practitioners with heresy and witchcraft. Okay. So now, does this whole like third temple stuff, does that count as witchcraft? Rebuilding the third temple, slaughtering red heifers and all that stuff. Is that pagan witchcraft or is that Judaism? I'm not sure. The ancient Jewish people were often viewed as being knowledgeable in magic, in which, according to legend, they had learned from Moses, who had learned it in Egypt. Yeah, we always forget about that part, that the Greeks learned everything from Egypt. We always stop at Greece. We're like, oh yeah, Greece. Yeah, Greece invented everything. None of the Greeks went to school in Egypt. Among many ancient writers, Moses was seen as an Egyptian rather than a Jew. Two manuscripts likely dating to the 4th century, both of which purport to be the legendary 8th book of Moses, the first 5 being the initial books in the biblical Old Testament, present him as a polytheist who explained how to conjure gods and subdue demons. Meanwhile, there is definitive evidence of grimoires being used by certain, particularly Gnostic sects of early Christianity. In the Book of Enoch, found within the Dead Sea Scrolls, for instance, there is information on astrology and the angels. That's why there's always 72, because if you divide the 12, what's it called? The signs of the zodiac into 12, and it's 72. Angels or angles in the sky. You know, the constellations. In possible connection with the Book of Enoch, the idea of Enoch and his great-grandson Noah having some involvement with books of magic given to them by angels continued through the medieval period. Israelite King Solomon was a biblical figure associated with magic and sorcery in the ancient world. The 1st century Romano-Jewish historian Josephus mentioned a book circulating under the name of Solomon that contained incantations for summoning demons, and it described how a Jew called Eleazar used it to cure cases of possession. The pseudo-pictographic Testament of Solomon is one of the oldest magical texts. It is a Greek manuscript attributed to Solomon and was likely written in either Babylonia or Egypt sometime in the first 5 centuries AD, over 1,000 years after Solomon's death. The work tells of the building of the temple and relates that construction was hampered by demons until the archangel Michael gave the king a magical ring. The ring, engraved with the seal of Solomon, had the power to bind demons from doing harm. Solomon used it to lock demons in jars and commanded others to do his bidding, although eventually, according to the Testament, he was tempted into worshiping the gods Moloch and Ashtoreth. Subsequently, after losing favor with God of Israel, King Solomon wrote the work as a warning and a guide to the reader. So we can see that this stuff goes way back. Way back. All right. You can read the rest of it yourself if you want. Link in the description. Of course, Aleister Crowley did it. We're going to get into that in a second. Now, people are like, oh, you can't look at the Aleister Crowley version of the tarot because he's a devil worshiper. Guess who else was a devil worshiper? A.E. Waite, the creator of the most popular version of the tarot deck, right? Here's his book on black magic, and here you can, I read this book, and it is about summoning demons. Here you can see right here on the cover, or in the first page on the inside cover, magic circle, he's there in a graveyard, the book of black magic, and pacts, including the rites and mysteries of Goetic theurgy, sorcery, and infernal necromancy. Arthur Edward Waite. So A.E. Waite was also a devil worshiper. So please don't come at me with that BS about Crowley being uniquely devil worshipping when it comes to tarot decks. You can see the magic circle right here. You can see he's summoning some type of spirit or demon, and it's a book of black magic. Right. So we're going to check out the book of Thoth tarot card introduction. Let's just check out the card for a second. You can see, again, got the Hebrew letter. And what is that? Oh, the sign of Mars. You know, like March, Mars, god of war. And what does this Hebrew letter mean? What does this Hebrew letter mean, actually? Okay. Thoth Tower Tarot card. The tower is a glyph for the process of purification through fire, and the planet Mars supplies this energy, which leads to the destruction of our small self or limitation of consciousness. The Rider-Waite tarot version is somewhat different to the Thoth imagery. We will cover this in a separate tarot series, but we already covered it. He was also a devil worshiper. Okay. The Thoth Tower card links the path connecting Hod, ruled by Mercury, and Netzach, ruled by Venus. They represent the energies of the intellect and emotions, respectively. All right, so here's the Tree of Life. That's where the Tower card goes. In between these two lower, all these lower ones have to deal with like physical reality. Like if it's below the Tippereth, then it has to deal with physical reality. Malkuth is like base, the most basic base reality. All right, so that's why this is like emotions and the intellect, right? And its lowest level on the Tree of Life, love is a battlefield because it is about the integration and harmonization of opposites. In this card, we have the opposites of the emotion and intellect. If we look at the Tree of Life, the paths parallel to the path of the tower are represented by the Empress, ruled by Venus, the dove, and Lust, which has the lion serpent, is illustrated in the diagram below. And because love is above, so it's kind of like what's it called? Synthesis. Like each level repeats itself. Like basically each level represents the same thing, but on a higher level. So it's like emotion and the intellect, and then you got like love and lust and fortune, right? You can see each level repeats itself, but on a higher level. Okay. Thoth Tower Tarot card, Hebrew and astrological attribution. Right. A Hebrew association. The tower is associated with the Hebrew letter Pei. It's pronounced Pei. Pei means mouth, and we can see this in the bottom right of the card as being the vehicle of fire which destroys the tower. Yeah, see, there's just a huge mouth there. Right. Okay. Dis, a Roman god of the underworld associated with Hades, at the bottom of the card, breathing fire. He is represented by a mouth, but is seen in the full image below. Notice that he's got the one hand up and one hand down. As above, so below. As it is in heaven, shall it be on earth. Right. Astrological association. Mars is the warrior planet, and in this card is a full attack mode to destroy the tower. In ancient Roman religion and myth, Mars was the god of war. And you also notice that the card is mostly red because Mars is red. The god of war, Mars, red, associated with red. Notice all the humans are falling down. There's the dove. There's the serpent. There's the eye. Right. The one eye symbolism. We're not going to get into that right now, though. We don't have that on our dollar bill or anything like that. Pay. No, it's not. You're insane. I'm insane. I'm insane. But the people that are prosecuting a religious war, they're sane. They're sane. But I'm insane. Okay, I don't even want to hear it. I don't even want to hear it. People are like, oh, but they only have the ability to like throw rocks, but yet we're blowing them up because they're gonna make a nuclear missile. Which is it? Do they only have the ability to like throw rocks compared to us, or do they have the ability to make a nuclear missile? You gotta pick one. The Thoth Tower Tarot card symbolism. The Tower. Our ring pass not. Our limitations, our ego, the part of the consciousness trapped in form and lower consciousness. The mental, emotional, and physical bodies. The structure of identity that we have built up over our lifetime. Since this is only a small part of who we are, and yet we see it as the totality of who we are, this limitation of our consciousness needs to be broken down. In the Book of Law by Aleister Crowley, I read that, it describes two types of love, one represented by the dove, the other by the serpent. The book implies that love associated with the dove is not as effective as that of the serpent. The dove and the serpent are two thelemic symbols for love and are different manifestations of the same energy. Love is the law, love under will, nor let the fools mistake love. For there are love and love. There is a dove and there is a serpent. Choose ye well. He, or hey, my prophet hath chosen, knowing the law of the fortress and the great mystery of the house of God. The dove equals passive love. The serpent equals active love. Crowley identifies the serpent as Abraxas. Abraxas is the 7 letters spelling its name may represent each of the 7 classical planets and 365, the number of days in the solar year. He was also described in the Gnostic Christianity as a god who was not solely benevolent, but also a destroyer. And this follows the theme of this card. He represents life and death at the same time. So it's the build, destroy degree. So this is actually going into the build, destroy degree. In this image, we see his relationship to the serpent, the sun, the moon, and war. In its higher octave, love involves destruction, as these opposites are dissolved and reconciled with each other, and this relates to the destruction of the tower. All of life is a process of reconciling to a unity or oneness. Jesus says in Matthew 10:34, "Think not that I come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword." So this is why all these lefty Christians don't get Christianity. Like I like the Orthodox bros version of Jesus. He's basically, I always call him Rambo Jesus. They're like, yeah, he's got a sword, he's got a bag full of silver, he's riding around, he's rolling deep with his crew. Jesus is not playing around. Okay. This is why when the eye of Shiva is open, the universe is destroyed and we attain enlightenment. So destruction is a form of love, as it unifies opposites within us. The Eye of Shiva, destroying the tower which represents the old Aeon. 27 rays radiate from the eye, which is the number of its path on the tree of life as described above. It is also associated with the third eye on Pan, the goat, from the Thoth Devil card. The opening of the third eye results in the destruction of the illusion of the material creation by the revelation of the 1,000-petaled lotus. Shiva was the goddess of destruction, burning one's karma with fire. Additional details of the tower: the lower windows divided into 10 squares, also the number of the 10th Sephiroth, Malkuth, the lowest one, right? Upper window with a cross representing Malkuth and the 4 elements of fire, air, water, and earth. These make up our physical, mental, and emotional bodies, and implies that when the tower is destroyed, we can see the cross on Malkuth in the image below. All right, sexual interpretation. The tower is the erect penis, the lightning flash, the orgasm, and figures our ejaculated sperm. The 9 embers of flames, the number of 9th Sephiroth Yesod, is the foundation of the tree of life, and yet is associated with the moon, and the moon represents change, as represented by its cycles. Change, stability, as it provides the opportunity for growth, whereas inertia equals death. The tarot card forces change, as its rigid structure is incapable of flexibility and growth, and so has to be destroyed. Right. Now you can see here again that the devil card is representing, what's it called? As you can see, it's just a penis. There's the balls right here, and then there's the shaft. Then there's some weird stuff going on, the goat, right? It's similar, representing a similar thing, because it's like representing the active or male love, where you destroy it. You destroy to build to just build. It's a build destroy degree, right? It's definitely getting there. All right, gotta unzoom this. So it's about transition. The divinatory meanings don't really mean as much. Yeah, I mean, if you really think a card can tell you the future, I got something for you too. So as we can see here, that this card definitely represents war and destruction, and the claim that war and destruction is actually love, right? Because, you know, they're the real hippies. The people that want to kill everybody, they're the real hippies. They really want to love everybody. They really love everybody, right? Anyway, so the tower, you can see the tower gets blown up. Everybody's jumping off of the top of it. You know, never heard of that before. Never heard of a tower getting blown up and then people having to jump off because the whole tower was on fire and stuff. Never heard of that before. Never, ever, ever. Never heard of that. Never heard of it. Okay. Anyway, right. No, but I'm insane though. I'm insane. I'm not the one that believes that building the third temple is going to bring some guy back to life. So get mad. Get mad. I don't care. What are you going to do? Troll me some more? I don't give a F. Okay. So now here we go to the Tower of Babel. Bringing it full circle back to the Christian theology. Okay. The Tower of Babel. Is it from Genesis 1 through 9, or is it Deuteronomy 32:8 and Acts 2:1 through 13? I'm not sure. It says Genesis 11, 1 through 9. Okay, because I know you got to quote that before you start reading and stuff. All right, so here we go. Now the whole world had one language and a common form of speech. And as people journeyed eastward, they found a plain in the land of Shinar and settled there. And they said to one another, "Come, let us make bricks and bake them thoroughly." So they used brick instead of stone and tar instead of mortar. "Come," they said, "let us build for ourselves a city with a tower that reaches to the heavens, that we may make a name for ourselves and not be scattered over the face of all the earth." Then the Lord came down to see the city and the tower that the sons of men were building. And the Lord said, "If they have begun to do this as one people speaking the same language, then nothing they devise will be beyond them. Come, let us go down and confuse their language so that they will not understand one another's speech." So the Lord scattered them from there over the face of all the earth, and they stopped building the city. That is why it is called Babel. For there the Lord confused the language of the whole world, and from that place the Lord scattered them over the face of all the earth. That's love, right? Everybody getting together and achieving their goals was bad. That was bad. That's bad. In the Bible, that's bad. Everybody getting together and achieving their goals was considered bad, was considered immoral by God, right? Because if God doesn't like it, that means it's immoral, right? Uh, I'm confused. Maybe I'm misinterpreting this, because I'm not like an Orthodox Christian. So I'm just completely misinterpreting what this says. And actually, God doesn't want everyone to be confused, and he doesn't want everyone to not be able to communicate with each other so that we can't get our goals accomplished. All right. People not being able to understand each other and hating each other and not being able to get their goals accomplished, that must be morally good because that's what God wants, right? God wants us to be at war, right? Because that's love. Love is war, right? It's literally 1984. Like God wrote 1984. Love is war. Killing people is love. Destroying people is love. People being confused is love. Okay. Now we're going to do some more random stuff. There we go. Principia Discordia. Okay, so here's the chart from the Principia Discordia. All right. Oh, wait, let me see if there's a better description of it. Well, here we can see this is the more full, because like the 5%ers, they have like the build destroy degree too, but it's more like the infinity sign. Well, basically the build destroy degree is 8, and if you turn 8 on its side, it looks like the infinity sign. So it's the infinite building and destroying of, you got to break a few eggs to make an omelet, basically, right? Like that's what it is, right? So we can see here that the Principia Discordia just has a better chart of it, right? So if you destroy and you have disorder, that's bad. If you destroy and you have order, that's bad, right? If you create and you have order, that's good. If you create and you have disorder, that's also good, right? So basically, you have to build, you have to destroy to build, and you also have to build to destroy, because it's an infinite loop where you build to destroy. You build something like a bomb to destroy some people. Then when you destroy the people, that's good, because that's what God wants, is everyone to be confused and not be able to communicate with each other. And so destroying is love, killing is love, being peaceful is bad and immoral. That's what we've discovered today, right? You were thinking about it completely in the wrong way from your whatever. Maybe you're a pagan, or maybe you're an atheist, or you're agnostic or something like that. You got it all wrong. You see, the Christians, they actually agree completely with Aleister Crowley. The Christians agree with Aleister, or maybe Aleister Crowley agrees with the Christians, right? That actually destroying everything and everybody being confused is morally good, because that's what God wants. God wants everyone to be confused. And actually, when everyone was unconfused and working together, that really pissed off God a lot, right? So I don't know. That's about it. Maybe you can't call me insane anymore, though. Look, I mean, hey, wait, devil worshiper. So don't even come at me with that, right? And religious people, God wants everyone to be confused and hate each other, and that's actually morally good. So, I mean, you can't even say that Pete Hegseth is wrong. You can't even say that this guy's wrong. He's actually completely right when it comes to Christian theology. You can say, oh well, no, he's a Zionist and he's this and he's following the Bible to a T. That actually hating people is love. Being confused and not being able to finish your goals, that's love, right? Hate is love. War is peace. Being peaceful is actually hateful. Right? And of course, summoning demons, that's always a good thing too, just in case, you're working with the Jews. Summon a couple demons up, kill your enemies or whatever while you stand in a magic circle. Oh my gosh. Yeah. But I'm insane though. I'm insane. But then when you want to do a crusade, and when you try to look up Project 47, all you get is a link to hats. All right. Okay, come on. Come and troll me now. Come and troll me. Get mad. Wah, wah. Okay. Video over. Thanks for watching. Have a good day and peace.